Hello everyone, and welcome to some Lords of the Fallen Invasions, where I'm going to attempt to answer the question of who the hell's still invading? Paul Eden recently put up a video discussing the differences in relative power levels of low-level builds across the different From Software invasion games. And in one point of it, you discussed a little bit, I'm paraphrasing, survivorship bias leading towards an increased relative strength of invaders across the games, including Elden Ring. And that makes sense because if the invasion environment is a little bit harsh or dying down and you're just getting more veteran players in it, it makes sense that um, the increase in skill level could make it a bit harder for a barrier of entry to people who are just getting their feet wet. So with that, the question kind of remains a little bit of that I want to ponder: who's still invading? Um, like, what does the invasion landscape look like? I think it's a very interesting question, and since Paul kind of opened up the floor for responses, I think that's an interesting thing to discuss in addition to relative power levels of low-level invaders, because though usually those ones are the most divisive in terms of what is for people getting their feet wet in these games. Um, Now, I recommend going to check out Paul's video. I think he does a good job of discussing it. I will give fair warning that Paul is a little bit more of a brutal invader than I am. A very polite person to chat with in the comments and such, but he really embraces the villain role, but leaves it in game. So, um, you might see some more mean stuff, but again, seems from how I've interacted is I would recommend checking it out. So with that, and because I know that there's probably some traffic a little bit from Dark Souls builds and cosplays, which Mike over there is no slouch in terms of good PvP fundamentals and bringing fights. But I know it's on the other side of challenging oneself with limited resources, with lore-inspired cosplays, and even though that there's been a good amount of jolly co-op over there, it's still a lot of activity within these games, and that's also another really fun, valid way to experience them. And I think my playstyle is kind of somewhere in between, where I very much enjoy um, finding new and creative lethal things that haven't been discovered before, and my villainous outbursts come at the um, well, like under the good sportsman, well played umbrella of sins of just using a build that is uninspired or with lack of, or that I perceived as that lack of agency, is what really brings out the ire in terms of under the umbrella of everyone's just having a good time. Um, and I guess that with that being said, like, we have a window of what we get to see in terms of who we play with, whether or not it's from what we see online in terms of content creators like Paul or Dark Souls builds and cosplays, or what I have on the channel. Um, there's only so much we can see in terms of getting an accurate picture. But one thing that, from my experience, just casually coming back every once in a while, because I know I've been distracted by Fire Emblem and Baldur's Gate 3, but I still feel like I come back to PvP enough to be veteran and hold my little PvP veteran card. One thing that I've noticed, at least especially with Elden Ring, is with some people have said the decay, the dying, or the dark ages of PvP. One group that I've experienced significantly less of, or almost none at all, are exploiters, straight cheating hackers, and bigots. Ran into a hell of a lot less of them as the game, quote, decayed. And you'll hear me swear once every 50 videos, and skip 10 seconds if you want to, but good fucking riddance. Like, it seems that the people who are around now just love the game. There might not be as many. You might run into the same dude a few more, or same group a few times, and invasions might be a little bit slower. But there are just people who love playing the game. We have to deal with enough hateful people outside of the game that why the hell would anyone want to deal with that shit on their downtime when you're just relaxing, blowing off steam after work or something? So, I don't know. A little bit of this is just a response to just being like, people are still here and invading, and I understand that there's probably things might be a little bit more harsh for people getting their feet wet, whether or not we're using a more mathematically optimized build, or if just from lots of hours in repetition. And there's still a lot of things that can be discovered. Like, I had no idea that somehow this crossbow in this particular patch ended up, like, being able to two-shot. It used to be, like, Dervahl's crossbow, like, with a three-shot poise break and then Grievous strike. Like, there's still a hell of a lot to be discovered in all these games. And, yeah, and that's part of the creative fun. Like, why I love Invading is all of the creative expression. There's no other game where I can fight, present myself like this, like in a 2D fighter. There's just not really as much there's not nearly as much creative self-expression, and I love that. And even though we might have different walks to PvP, I think that some of either the surviving small creators that are still out here in this dark age, that we love the game and we love to creatively express ourselves in a variety of different ways. I don't know. I just kind of wanted to ramble and say that the red players are still out here. So hopefully you enjoyed the fights, and the ramblings. Thank you for your time. Thank you for watching, and I hope that you have an amazing, wonderful day. Take care. Hopefully I'll see you on another adventure. See ya.